If you want to hear the listener submissions, they're at 33 minutes and 47 seconds. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the A-Hole podcast?
Yes, Anthony O'Connell.
Danny Vega.
All right.
We are here. We're so excited to discuss Reddit's amazing subreddit. We have, as usual, cherry-picked 3 amazing situations to talk about. If you're brand new to the pod, people post, generally anonymously, situations where they're wondering, am I the asshole? And people either respond, you're the asshole, or you're not the asshole. And generally, if they're saying not the asshole, that means the other person is an asshole because there's a separate distinction called NAH, no assholes here.
Also, everyone sucks here sometimes. Everyone's bad.
Everyone sucks here is like everyone's an asshole. Fan-freaking-tastic. Well, these are the 3 stories we are covering today. AITA for having an almanac, a detailed journal about things his girlfriend likes. Number 2, AITA for taking my girlfriend's lasagna home when she said I could.
That's from Garfield. Thank you. Hachi machi.
Nice. Garfield wrote in. And number 3, then we switch from like chill couple arguments, no bigs, to AITA for moving on quickly from my ex-boyfriend who passed 3 weeks ago. Hot and heavy. Are you all ready?
I'm ready.
Now, this first story is special because I actually have been posting on the subreddit.
Ooh.
And Anthony doesn't know about this story. He doesn't know about my comments. And I'm just so excited to tell him. Are you in?
I'm chomping at the bit.
Strap in, baby. Here we go. AITA for having an almanac by username tossaway187. I did edit it a little bit, but long story short, the beginning of the story is sort of like he met his girlfriend at an ice cream store. It was a very cutesy thing, like, I fell in love with this mess of a girl with ice cream on her face. You get it. I wasted no time in asking her out and we hit it off immediately. The almanac started after our first date. She mentioned she loves lilacs. The way she talked about how much she loved them, I knew I didn't want to forget that tidbit of information. So I wrote it down in one of those mini spiral notebooks. This was the almanac's genesis. Over the years, I've written down information about my wife, her favorite color, her favorite restaurants, her favorite books, movies she wants to see. Basically, all the little things that I knew I would forget. Fast forward to yesterday morning. I get a call from her around 11 a.m. What the fuck is the almanac? Toss away 187. She obviously has it, and I don't lie to my wife. So I tell her. She gets really quiet for maybe half a minute and then says, I always thought you remembered this stuff. Tells me she has to run and hangs up. I get home from work last night and she's really dejected. I asked her what's wrong and she says the almanac has cheapened every sweet thing I've ever done for her. She called it my playbook and said she felt betrayed. Until yesterday, I was the only person in the world to know of its existence. She also said she hasn't decided if I can have it back or not and that she's thinking about destroying it. I feel like this should be an example of how much I love her. I'm terrified she's going to burn it. I want to remember all these details that make my wife who she is. That's why I write them down. I don't chronicle these things for brownie points or status. I do it because I love my wife. I hear so many wives bitch that their husband don't remember shit, and I don't want to be that guy. So yeah, I took notes, and now I'm getting the silent treatment, or at best, single word answers. AITA here.
Well, I think he's not the asshole. I just want to go ahead and say that. I think it's very sweet that he's doing this. I think it's very kind. He's taking notes. Like, he loves her so much that he's like, I don't want to risk forgetting anything. One thing I will think is funny is he said, I didn't do this for brownie points or status.
Status.
How are you elevating your status? Oh, I love my wife so much. My status is all the way up.
Oh, you got a boat? I got an almanac. Oh, nobody knows what that means. You know, when we say not the asshole, that means that she is being the asshole. So you're actually going to say no assholes here or not the asshole?
No, I think she's actually overreacting, and I think it's fair to call her an asshole.
Interesting. Well, get ready, because here comes Danny's comment saga. Initially, I was like you, Anthony. I saw things the same way. In fact, this thread was pretty developed when I got to it. Texas Mason had one of the top comments at the time, and he wrote, this is nuts. It's absolutely not the asshole and not no assholes here, because that would mean she's not an asshole. This guy chronicles everything that he thinks might make his wife happy, and now she's thinking about destroying it because of her insane, overly romanticized worldview. I saw Texan Mason. I upped him. I endorse. I said, wife has, quote, memory privilege. Many, if not most people, can't recall all the little BS personal preferences about their partner. I have precisely such an almanac. It's really just a note in my phone because I'm not a psycho. Because I will never remember that my GF likes orchids or once said we should go to Nashville on a whim. And Anthony, I got over 600 upvotes.
Oh, my stars. Congratulations.
But I meditated. I thought on this and I thought, how can I see this from wifey's perspective? And I wrote another comment farther down the thread. And I said, no assholes here. Best analogy I can come up with, if some guy had a kink and his wife pretended to be super into the kink for a long time, then she breaks to him that she isn't actually into it. She just pretends to be for him. She enjoys the kink because of what it does for her partner. Nonetheless, it isn't really her thing. I think this is pretty similar to what's happening here. A fantasy that is essentially broken by the other party's lack of organic or natural behavior and instead the end result of a calculation or a strategy. It's just plain less romantic or hot. And Anthony, I got -3 upvotes.
The thing that really sold it for me is when you said it's just plain less romantic or hot, because that kind of really solidified your point and your idea to me. But I still think that she's the asshole because if a partner was faking a kink, then they would also be the asshole. Because honesty is the best policy.
I don't know.
Ooh, we're butting heads. This might be our first time butting heads.
Okay, so, but look, Anthony, like, imagine she's so into this kink and you love it. You're like, I love Amber. She's super into whatever, dressing up as a dragon.
Yeah.
And you know, you think that's your thing and you love it. Like, that's your favorite part because it's your kink. It's that thing that really gets you going. And then one day she admits that she doesn't. Like, is she really an asshole because she pretended? You loved it for years. You loved it. You loved dressing up as a dragon.
Well, I guess with kink specifically, that would actually be very sweet of them to be a giving lover, a generous lover, and do these weird things like dragon sex.
And it made it all the more better that they pretended it was their kink, right? Because part of the pleasure of sex is the mutuality of it, that you know that your partner is enjoying it too.
That's fair. So I could kind of see where she might feel cheated because in her brain, she probably has him as this Prince Charming who remembers every fucking detail, the minutia of her life.
Right.
But then that is kind of heartbreaking for her to realize that.
It's heartbreaking.
I'm going to change.
I changed you.
You had a very well thought out argument. It was great. I think no one's the asshole here.
Wow, folks, I'm so proud of that. Now, here's the kicker. I felt a lot of guilt when this happened because I was like, because Reddit's it can be a little sexist. And I thought this is a little sexist. We're basically saying, like, women are crazy and their crazy emotions are out of control. I'll see you at the docks, Billy. And so when I had my transformation, I expected to go back because then I saw the downvotes too. I was like, oh, everybody hates my new perspective and my little analogy. But then I went back on the subreddit and they concurred. Reddit was okay. Reddit actually went with no assholes here. Top comment by Panda's Paw writing, no assholes here. I don't think your wife is either. I think she's just in shock that part of the story she created in her head is wrong. Keep doing these little things for her she loves while the almanac is confiscated. It'll at least show you're not dependent on the book, but also tell her exactly what you said here because you did it because you never want to forget even one little thing about her. It's romantic AF and you're not even making it up.
What would she rather have? Like, does she want him to not remember anything? Or if he does it all off the top of his head, he remembers like 3 out of 1,000 things. Like, what's the better reality for her? As long as he remembers, who cares how he remembered?
Yeah, but again, it's like the kink thing, right? So going back to the kink analogy, it's like, well, what do you do after you find out that she's not into the dragons? Well, you got to find something else.
That's true.
That's really it. You got to figure out what does work.
That's fair.
No, I feel good about that. That was cool. You changed your mind, and Reddit seemingly, by my perceptions, changed its mind, even though that was probably the obvious answer. I'm an idiot. Story number 2. AITA for taking my girlfriend's lasagna home when she said I could. And I got to say, this is one of my favorite parts about this story. Username. LasagnaProblems. LasagnaProblems. Who's got them? LasagnaProblems. My GF and I are both college students. She lives in an apartment on her own, and I live with my parents.
Loser. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
Kidding.
Wow, you're the asshole. Okay. On Sunday, she made homemade lasagna for our date night. She made everything from scratch, including the noodles. It was really good, so I asked if I could take the lasagna home for my family to try. She said yes. When I left, I took the tray of lasagna with me. On Monday, I got a text asking where her lasagna was. I told her I had taken it home for my family. She said, I thought you were going to take some, not the whole thing. I spent most of my food budget for the week on it with the intention to eat leftovers for the rest of the week. Now I don't know what I'm going to eat. I apologize. I think he means I felt apologetic, but pointed out that I asked her if I could take it home, and she didn't tell me that I couldn't take the whole tray. She said it should have been obvious that I shouldn't take the whole thing since the tray was so big. To be fair to her, it was a really big tray. My family of 5 only just finished the tray yesterday after eating it for dinner both nights. It sounds like they ate the tray, which I love. But I don't think the size of the tray makes it obvious that I shouldn't take it. Last night, my girlfriend complained that she had to eat instant noodles for dinner so that she wouldn't blow her food budget. Today, she's asking me if I can buy her a sandwich since I took her leftovers for the week. It sucks that she spent her food budget on lasagna, but I think this is her fault for not being clear that I shouldn't take the whole thing. I don't think she is justified in asking me to buy her lunch because of it. She called me an asshole for not being willing to help her out. Am I the asshole?
What a nightmare. I think 100% violently selfish, incredible asshole, unbelievable.
Wow, a lot of emotion from you.
Well, lasagna is very labor intensive, and this man even pointed out that, she made everything from scratch, even the noodles. That's
even
not easy.
Noodles.
And lasagna noodles are thick and long. It's not easy. He took the whole tray. That's so savage. He won't even buy her a sandwich. I hope she leaves him.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I think this is a deal breaker because it proves that he's very selfish, or at the very least, inconsiderate. The only thing I could say, in his defense is it was wrong of her to assume. Technically, she could have been a little more clear and been take some of it, but that's only technicality. Only a monster would take all of it.
It's hard to defend this guy because he's just so rigid. And, making lasagna like that is already hard. As you said, it was from scratch. And I think it was an honest mistake, but I'm a big believer, and I'm probably going to repeat this 4 million times as we do this podcast, but you just say sorry, first of all. You say sorry and you be sorry. And the be sorry in this case is picking up the old Sammy. You got to pick her up a Sammy. You got to make it up to her. That was her lasagna. And why wouldn't you be sorry? Because it was a misunderstanding. I think this is where people get very caught on sorry. It was her fault. Paradoxically, it was her fault. However, it was his responsibility, right? Because he took the lasagna.
Well, if we want to be technical, it says, so I asked if I could take lasagna home for my family to try, which to me means to try leaves a little wiggle room where it's maybe not her fault.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't matter. Even if he had said, could I take the lasagna, which apparently he didn't. I don't know he doesn't quote it. But yeah, I believe that in this case, even if she had said the lasagna, I mean, if she had said the whole lasagna, I think that'd be a little different. But in this place where it is ambiguous, I think even saying take lasagna,
yeah,
when you say, I guess that's kind of an interesting linguistic question. If you have lasagna in your fridge and I say, can I have lasagna? That wouldn't mean the whole thing, no.
I wouldn't assume the whole thing.
No, you wouldn't generally. Depends how much there is. And if there's a ridiculous amount, you certainly wouldn't.
And also, this girl lives on her own. He lives at home. I would hope he has a little bit of extra spending money. He can't buy her a sandwich. It would have been redeemable if he was like, you know what, babe? Like you said, the apology. He's like, babe, I screwed up. Here's the Sammy. Of course, I'll buy you a Sammy.
Right.
You should just help Bae out. Buy her a Sammy. Or reverse it. The girl could buy the guy the Sammy. I love how he's like, I don't think she's justified in asking to buy her lunch. And this poor girl ate ramen noodles all week. She'd eat instant noodles.
Now, the Reddit did concur with us. They gave this guy an asshole. Top comment, username, we all float down here, _ you're the asshole, but only for not hooking her up with food to eat since you took her meal plan for the week. Help her out with some real food, guy. Second top comment, apathy on the East. You're the asshole. Almost went for no assholes here because it's an innocent enough misunderstanding, but got to this. I don't think she's justified in asking me to buy her lunch because of it. Wow, so that was the same quote you reacted to. He says, 1, you're not willing to do a little compromise over a misunderstanding. That bodes poorly for a future relationship.
Yes.
2, the fact that you think she needs a justification is itself concerning.
I love apathy on the East.
3, you got defensive and tried to double down over an innocent mistake. That's not a flattering look.
I wish I would have said what this person said. And this is why I love this Reddit. This subreddit is so engaging and fun.
Yeah, and I think most of the time we do agree with them, and there's usually at least some person in there who knows what they're talking about. Now, I did have to dig for this dissenting comment. I was kind of excited. I was like, who's the person who's going to be like, the lasagna is your lasagna? But this is the best I could find. I did not find any Redditors really defending this guy. He said, YTA, clearly, I was going to say no assholes here after your first few paragraphs because it was a misunderstanding, but then to tell her it was her fault and you're going to make her eat instant noodles all week. Dude, WTF. You should have apologized right away and helped her make a new one, or at least give her a fucking sandwich. Oh my God.
Yeah, Tasty Tyrone is correct.
I think reading these too, because like this feels very college age. I feel some guilt. I feel like I've done stuff like this and just been like, well, technically, bleh.
One time when I was in college, I was at a girl's house and we made some chicken nuggets. Okay. Not from scratch, just like frozen chicken nuggets.
Okay.
Like a 30-pack or whatever the big box is. And we were watching a movie and we were eating and I wasn't really paying attention to her. And turns out I ate like 23 nuggets. Like I ate like a monster and I was like, chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh my God.
And she was so upset with me. I mean, obviously I was very apologetic and like I was freaking out and I had like, she didn't fat shame me, but I felt fat shamed just because I ate 23. But
yeah, you fat shamed yourself.
And I told her, I was like, look, babe, like I was in the zone. We're watching the movie.
I was in the zone.
dippy, all that. Like I was just going nuts with these nuggets. I've definitely been inconsiderate, but at least I apologized.
So you said sorry right there.
I absolutely apologized right in the moment. I was like, I'm sorry, I was wrong.
But did you go get her more food or anything?
I didn't. No, I think, she didn't even eat anything else, I think. But 7 nuggets is enough, but also 23 is too much.
Whoa.
But 23 is too much.
Don't gaslight her retroactively. 7's enough. Yeah, if she's 7, you get 1 nugget for every year of age until you're 15. You crazy person.
What was some sketchy college thing you did, or younger Danny?
It's kind of a vague memory because I was still drinking and smoking. But I remember my friend was like, "I'll come over and teach you how to make risotto," and then I was like instantly overwhelmed, which is not a justification because she was probably like, "Open the microwave," and I was like, "Girl, I do not know how to do that.
I can't handle this. Slow down."
Shit. I was such a piece of shit, and she ended up making the risotto herself, and it was divine. And years later, I forgot to RSVP to her wedding.
Oh boy!
And then I texted her and was like, "Hey, I'd like to go." And then her husband, who I've never met, called me and basically said he would kick my ass in a thick Southern drawl.
That's crazy.
Which now, looking back, if I add that up to the risotto incident, I'm like, that's fair. That's like a fair comeuppance. Story number 3. Now, in this episode, we've been kind of lighthearted.
Yeah.
Lasagna problems, the almanac.
And those are kind of like adorable problems if you really think about it.
They really were. They came from a place of love. Sure, he didn't really love his girlfriend. He loved the lasagna, but that's okay. So this is, we're going to a heavy, heavy place. Am I the asshole for moving on quickly from my ex-boyfriend who passed 3 weeks ago? Username, did I move on too fast?
I wonder if that's her normal Reddit.
I hope it is. I really hope it is. My boyfriend of a year passed away 3 weeks ago after a car accident. I was really close with him and his family, and he was close with mine. We were going to live together in the fall next semester. We shared a friend group as he was friends with all of my current friends before me, so they all like him too. When I was 16, my best friend passed away due to leukemia, and I was really depressed and down for a while, and my mom used to constantly tell me to get over it, and what's done is done, so I'm kind of desensitized to loss and tend to get over it quickly. After my BF died, one of my close friends who I used to like was talking to me and said he was there for me, and I didn't really need emotional support, but we started talking and seeing each other 2 weeks ago. I told my friend about it today, and she flipped, and 2 of my other close friends texted me and said what I was doing was fucked up and it's too soon. And now I got a message from my late BF's sister telling me to never talk to her or family again, and some other mean things. IDK how she even found out. I don't know what I really did wrong. I never cheated on my late BF. I did pay my respects after he passed, but it's like I'm supposed to wait some arbitrary amount of time until I'm allowed to go out with people again. And then she has an edit here. So the response I've gotten are split, but more leaning towards asshole, and I can accept that, but I'm still going to correct people, say that the new guy is my boyfriend because he's not. We're just seeing each other casually. Edit 2, there are 900 comments. If you're calling me an asshole, try to at least be original rather than a carbon copy of something I've already read. Verdict, asshole. What say you?
I guess I would say no assholes here because I don't think the people that are grieving are assholes, but I also think this girl's innocent. I do not think that she's an asshole. I think what really hit it for me is she said, what, I'm supposed to wait an arbitrary amount of time before I move on? That's a fact. Like, what is acceptable? 6 months, a year, or why not 3 months? Like, the time doesn't matter. Like, everyone grieves in their own separate way. So just do your thing.
That is pretty much aligned with my first thought. Gonna come back at you and say, isn't it also, though, acknowledging the ecosystem of a relationship, which she's talked about extensively? Isn't there a selfishness knowing that that would be hurtful to the family? In other words, sure, she wanted to fuck some guy, but clearly she wasn't that discreet about it because it got out. The family knows, and that's hurtful.
The loss of a loved one is horrific, and it's a nightmare, but you can't really expect other people to react or do what you would do or what you would want them to do. And honestly, maybe this is going to sound crass, but maybe her just trying to come is like part of her grieving process. Like maybe just like getting with someone else like is helping her heal.
Well, I don't refute that. I think that's why I landed where you did, but I'm just trying to say, isn't there something to be said about the fact that even though she wants to come, was not discreet enough. She ignored that this would have effects on the family. Is there anything there? I mean, I'm trying to think of like, I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to do it. If my brother died and he had a girlfriend, would I be upset at her if she moved on quickly?
Wow, that's a good point. Because I guess when you make it personal, like if I lost my sister and her boyfriend were to move on quickly, I guess I would feel some type of way, but I don't know that I would call him an asshole. I think it's okay. I think they have to grieve in their own way and they have to do what they want to do. And then like this girl's mom had a very good point. Get over it. What's done is done. Like that's really harsh and really cold, but ultimately that is true and that is how life is. Like say she grieves silently for 6 months and she's suffering in silence and she's quote unquote good.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, this girl has had some horrible things happen to her, and that's why I'm really struggling to throw out asshole, because her friend died when she was 16. Like, God, this girl's life has been wrought with tragedy.
Yeah, but overall, the verdict is asshole. So you and I are disagreeing with the Reddit.
Yeah, so let's go into the comments here. Jersey Shore Web Dev says, you're the asshole. He was dead for a week, and you started seeing someone else. 7 days. I'm sorry, but you're either not thinking right as a result of his death, or you weren't that into him. I don't think it's a particularly insightful comment. I think he's re-explaining the week is kind of, because like that's not what this is about. I don't think he saw her perspective at all there.
Yeah, that's pretty aggressive, Jersey Shore Web Dev.
Macaw, MAKKAAH, says, you're the asshole. You are not desensitized to loss. You are expressing pretty concerning sociopathic behavior. And this bullshit, everyone grieves differently, is just that. Bullshit and lame excuse for being a shallow, dickish person. Show some fucking respect.
Wowza.
Yeah, I feel
that's
like
a bold statement.
I think we are seeing a little bit of the Reddit that is sexist. I think there is a sort of a male toxic masculinity of extreme loyalty. Show some respect. These are almost sounds, it sounds militant, but it almost evokes the military.
It's only loyalty from her end, which isn't fair.
I mean, here's another way to look at this that we haven't said yet, which is if I died, oh my God, I would want my girlfriend to do whatever she fucking wants. I would love to see, like, I'm flown up to heaven and she moves on. Now, I wouldn't like it. This is what I'll say. And this is an optical concern. I wouldn't like it if I saw her get with someone that, like, we knew. So I felt very deceived. Like, if I saw, like, someone that we both mutually knew and then that person was extremely there for her and then they hooked up, actually, I think the person I would judge is the other person.
Yeah, because she's vulnerable. She just lost someone.
Exactly. It's exploitative, I was going to say.
Me too.
So that is where the pain would come from in this scenario where I'm floating above in heaven. In general, my policy would be like, honestly, whatever the fuck she has to do to get over this horrible, who cares? I'm fucking dead, dog. Like, it don't matter.
Exactly. And I think that's really sweet that you said, like, if you were to die, you'd want your girlfriend to move on and find love, like, super quick or whatever. I think that's incredibly sweet. Danny's a sweetheart. So let me ask you this. You mentioned Reddit's sexism, which I agree with you. Do you think if the woman died and then the man moved on, do you think people would be like, yeah, get it, pimp?
No, I mean, I don't think they're that bad. I think sometimes, I think sexism may be the wrong word too. I don't want to come off. I mean, there are parts of Reddit that are like disgustingly sexist. I think it's primarily male and it's a lot of males, like Jersey Shore Web Dev. Like, I guarantee you this guy's coworkers are almost all men. That's a heavily male dominated field. He doesn't understand her perspective and probably hasn't personally dealt with death. There's no really personalizing or empathizing there. So if this was switched, I'd like to believe that a couple of outstanding Redditors would say, I don't know. Actually, now I don't know. I feel like so this is a guy who is dating a girl, and then she dies, and he's banging a new girl. Yeah, I can see people do that because I feel like people reduce it much more easily. That's what they would do. They'd be like, oh, dude, that's just his slam piece. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They would go that way because I think it's easier for people to conceptualize men that way. They're like, oh, well, yeah, he's fucking her. He doesn't care about her like the way he cared about Jill.
He's dealing with his pain. Hello. Yeah. But then a woman doesn't. They're like, what a monster.
There was a dissenting comment. So someone who saw, Anthony and I said no assholes here because I don't blame the family for being upset.
Exactly.
I think discretion was the error. That's where I'm going to kind of settle. She needed to be discreet because it is a bomb drop. It is a bomb drop.
I don't know that she has to be discreet.
I think so. I think there's no way that no one's going to get hurt. You think his fucking dad isn't going to get hurt? His mom isn't going to get hurt seeing her? Like, imagine she posts on Instagram a picture with her and the new guy.
I think that's okay.
Bro, that's going to hurt their feelings.
Don't follow her then. Focus on your own pain in your own life, and you're like, it's horrible and it's so sad.
But they had a mutual life.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like...
Do you follow your sister's boyfriend?
I do.
You're telling me your sis dies and boy throws up a picture of him and his new girlfriend a week after her death.
It seems pretty quick, but at the same token, it's like, I read Tony Robbins' Brag Alert self-help book.
Okay, where's this going?
He said change can happen in an instant. He said, what?
Okay, but I feel like you're trying to rationalize here. You're telling me that after a week, I'm not saying if you rationally think it's okay. I think you do. I think I do too. But I'm telling you, when you see a picture of him macking on some new chick a week after your sister's death, you're not going to feel upset?
No, I would be upset, definitely.
Of course you are, because you're a human fuck being.
But it's none of my business. And if David wants to live his life like that, I don't have control over his Instagram. I don't have control over his social media. And my sister's boyfriend's name is David. Shout out, David. But if David does that, that's his business. I would be pissed.
But I agree. I feel like we're not disagreeing, because what I'm saying is it is on Dave, or in this case, this girl, to practice discretion, knowing that it's going to hurt people's feelings to see her moving on quickly. It doesn't make her an asshole, because failing to be discreet, and especially in this case, I think she wasn't paranoid, really, because it sounds like she didn't tell him. It's not like she posted on social media or anything. We were just using that to demonstrate it. She even says, like, I don't know how they found out. I feel like we've settled out. There was a person who said not the asshole. AIGUILLETTE Aguilette says, not the asshole, but only because I don't believe that you're not grieving. Some people react poorly when grieving. They do drugs or yell or jump into sexual partnerships inappropriately fast. I honestly think you're acting out through dating, and you should really consider some grief counseling.
That's beautiful. That's very well put. I wish I would have suggested grief counseling. Shout out Aguileta.
Yeah, I think that's on point. I mean, I'm so lucky I haven't really had a lot of death in my life. But I do think it is a time to be considerate, obviously, of your own feelings and of all the family's feelings, and the fact that, when you're with someone, you have a mutual life to some extent. And I think you're not wrong, because, if your sister dies, then you're probably not going to be like, hey, what's up, sister's boyfriend? We're best friend now. But that you still had some, memories and moments together.
That's fair. To flip it on the way other end of the spectrum. Okay. So the argument being she moved on too quickly and or she wasn't discreet enough. Do they want the opposite? Do they want her to be grief-stricken? She drops out of school, she quits her job, she doesn't shower. How far, when is enough enough?
I think it's tough. I think it's amorphous. I don't think there's a rule. I just think that a week is very, very soon. And I think the discretion is absolutely key. And I don't think it is rational. I think this has nothing to do with rationality.
That's true.
She's not breaking an agreement of any kind. Like she says, I didn't cheat on him. But it's upsetting to them, because to them, this person who has passed, in other words, speaking about his family, these images, I guess there's no images in this case, but this knowledge that she is now with someone else, what it feels like, and I'm not saying this is what it is, but what it feels like is she's saying, he wasn't that important to me, and that hurts.
That makes sense.
It's a betrayal of a reality, which actually ties in kind of interestingly to the almanac that we were talking about, because betraying a perceived reality is really hurtful, whether it's real or not.
You're so smart. Shout out Danny Bacon.
Oh my God, I think this is a really interesting one, and guys, we would love to hear your thoughts on any and all of these. It's time for some segments, baby. Anthony is taking it over. We're starting off with our quickies. Fast, Am I the Assholes? Tell me your life.
This is a quickie little Am I the Asshole? I live in New York City, Manhattan. I take the train a lot. I'm holding the pole and a girl leans on my hand, where there's plenty of room for her to put her hand on the pole or any number of things.
You put your hand on and then she's leaning on it?
So my hand was there first.
Oh.
She enters the train and leans on it. There's tons of room. It wasn't rush hour. It was like 9 p.m. at night, so it's kind of empty. And then I smile and I say, excuse me. She moves for a second, then rolls her eyes and proceeds to put her back on me. So then I put my knuckles kind of out, so that way she's not touching my chubby little back of my hand.
Yes.
She's touching my nucks.
Yes.
And then she looks at me. She looks at me like I'm a psycho. I just stood there the whole time. I was like, I'm not going to move my hand. And she left her back there. And we were just like, this is our life now.
This is our life now.
Am I the asshole?
No, not the asshole. Your hand was there first, and that's that. I mean, that's how the pole works. Also, leaning on the pole is only allowed if nobody else needs the pole. Otherwise, you're selfishly hogging the pole.
Exactly. And there used to even be little MTA signs that said, don't lean on the pole.
Right.
Share the pole.
Pretty clear-cut case there. Yeah, no way. She's
Thank
the
you.
asshole.
Another time,
Okay.
A buddy of mine invited me to a comedy show in Brooklyn.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know. Danny and I both live in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. So I take the hour train ride. It's a journey to this show. I pay $15.
Whoa, expensive. Bar show?
Yeah.
Pricey bar show.
It's Brooklyn. They're so fancy and hip. So anyways, I have some drinks. I buy the ticket. And then I'm hanging out after the show. And quick side note, the whole point of me going to the show was to meet his girlfriend. And then he tries to walk past me after the show. I'm waiting at the bar for him like a fan, and then he walks right by me.
Oh my God.
I tap him on his shoulder, and I won't name names, but I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, where are you going? And he's like, oh, sorry, my girl wants to leave. We have to leave. And I was like, well, can I meet her real quick? Like, I came all the way from Manhattan to meet her. And then he was like, I'm sorry, we have to go. I was like, you can't have one drink or like hang out for like 5 minutes. And he's like, I'm sorry, we got to go. And I was like, I was blind with rage. Honestly,
oh no.
To be honest with you, I wanted to fight him. And
You wanted to fight him?
I was also drunk. That helped. That was fueling the fire.
But not like piss drunk, just like
no,
tipsy.
I was buzzed. Yeah,
you were buzzing.
So I started shaking because I was so upset. So I just told him to leave, and then it actually affected our friendship because I felt so disrespected. I felt so like just shat on that I unfriended him on Facebook. I unfollowed him on Instagram, and I've been ignoring his text messages. Because I just felt so disrespected. Like, I take an hour train ride to meet your girlfriend. I watched the show. The show was amazing, by the way. He's very funny. The show was truly awesome. But you can't say hello to me?
Okay, I'm going to go with info.
Okay.
Did you ever clearly communicate the transgression?
In the moment, there wasn't a lot of time because he tried to walk right past me. So it was kind of like a quick, like, in the moment, like, hey, what's going on? Where are you going? And then he was like, we got to go, whatever.
And then after that, when he would text you or whatever, you just ignored?
I just ignored him, yeah.
I empathize with this a lot. I would say, not the asshole, he's the asshole. I think this person is probably a narcissist because this has all the marks of a narcissist. We've got extreme entitlement. Not understanding that you traveled there to do this thing and not even giving you 5 minutes is just such a level of rigid self-centeredness.
Thank you so much for agreeing with me. Because some of my friends said I overreacted, and they're like, Anthony, you're so dramatic. Like, it's not a big deal. But I'm so thankful you agree with me. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of comics are narcissists, especially if they're good. Oh, boy. But that's why Anthony and I are really good people.
We're so chill.
We're so fucking chill, dog, because we're bombing. Okay. Well, now, when these texts, he did not apologize at any point.
He did not.
Yeah, of course.
He didn't. So the first text was, he was like, hey, did you really unfollow me from Twitter? And then, so I ignored that. And then he sent me a text like a week later. It's like, hey, can we go to B-Dubs?
Well, what's B-Dubs?
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, Jesus.
It's like the Applebee's of chicken wings.
Oh, that's disgusting. With narcissists, it's very hard to get through to them, and you never will. So I think you actually dodged a bullet. But I suspect that if you had said, hey, man, this is what happened, this is how I felt, you would have entered Gaslight City.
Absolutely.
You would have refused to apologize, or if you milked the apology out, it would have been a hollow apology, and you would have been treated like shit. Because the thing with these people is, it's not that they don't care. It's almost that they can't. Any normal person seeing their friend at a bar who had traveled to be there, even if they hadn't traveled, even if they lived next fucking door, would be like, oh, bro, I'm so sorry. We have to run. I will make this up to you. That is like a completely...
That's the normal reaction.
That's so normal. It's so normal. So when that doesn't happen, you got to go like, oh, this is like a deeper thing.
So I started thinking of like our whole friendship, and I'm like, he's never really done anything for me. Like, I've always tried to be a helpful friend, and I try to be a good friend and make a conscious effort to do that. But I don't think it's really ever been reciprocated. I think I've always just enjoyed him because he's so funny, and he is a good hang.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm over it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the realizations of adulthood. It takes a special recipe to get a good friend, because there are people that are fun that are toxic as fuck.
Yeah, you can be a fun asshole.
Yep. And it's also knowing boundaries, which I'm getting better at, because I have some friends now where I'm like, I like you, but I'm not opening it up to you, buddy. I will put up my little wall when you come around. And it sucks because I'm a super honest and open and honest person, but realizing that certain people have certain boundaries, and that some people will walk all over your boundaries anyway, and you'll get fucked, and you just can't be friends with those people, even if they're fun.
Absolutely. You're right.
As you get older, it's just like, where's the boring people? Huh? Boring? Who's boring as fuck? Let's start a podcast. That's what we said. He's like, you're boring? I'm boring. All right, let's do this, bro. And it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, user submissions. Every time I wait for Anthony to fill the gap, it does not go well.
No, it doesn't.
Comment from a listener. Alfred Ortiz disagrees with Anthony's forgetting policy.
If you forget to tip me and you forget something at my table, you're forgetful. Sorry, tough luck.
And then he forgets to bring you your hat or wallet
exactly.
or whatever you left, but you bring it to the manager's office and they can go get it on their own time.
Of course.
He says, I have to disagree. As a server, as awful as this sounds, you have to bust your ass for your tips. If I knew my money came from being an attentive server, you better believe I'm dishing out, no pun intended, exemplary service. Even then, some people won't tip you well, which is to be expected. To say you intentionally won't let someone know they're forgetting an item is frankly a shitty thing to do. Two wrongs don't make a right. I truly believe in karma. It could be all of your karma coming back to you in the form of lousy tips.
Two wrongs don't make a right. I don't know that it's necessarily wrong for me to not grab someone for forgetting something.
I don't think it is a wrong per se. I think it's you're choosing not to go above and beyond, as we discussed prior. That does not fall under common courtesy to chase someone down with the bullshit they forgot. That, in my view, at least.
Of course, yeah. And I think it's going above and beyond, especially with the bad tip. I think it's like, come on.
It's not common courtesy. I don't think it's common courtesy because, in my view, that person hands me my hat. I forgot. I go, thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. I know that's what I would say. Or I'd be like, give me my hat.
They probably wouldn't even say thank you, this lousy tipper.
Comment from my cousin who is a listener, a continuation of our tipping saga. He says, I routinely tip 20% at restaurants, usually even on alcohol. Props to that, cuzzo. But fuck tipping Uber or Instacart. The whole point of Uber was to not have to tip, right? Am I an asshole? They can't just fucking change the policy all of a sudden. Hey, no tipping, please. By the way, go online and tip now. F that. And how about Amazon automatically setting a $5 tip? What if the delivery sucks? Where's a driver's motivation to execute a good drop-off if the tip is preset? That's socialism, bro. F socialism. My Cuban cousin, Bebo, bringing the Cuban to the pod.
First of all, what I noticed right off the bat, a lot of cursing. He's very angry about this.
Yeah,
very
well, he just says the F word a lot. You know, he's mad chill.
One thing I do agree with him on is the pre-tip. I do hate that. Like if I order Seamless, Uber Eats, whatever. Because it's like, what if it says 30 minutes and then I get it in an hour and I'm still tipping this person $5?
Exactly.
I don't like that.
No pre-tipping, and everyone at the restaurant hates that auto-grat, anything like that. Nobody likes it. It's against our society, which is not socialism. I totally see eye to eye with him. Now, I personally do not tip on an Uber.
I will tip a taxi driver. I usually give him like $2 or $3, but when Uber first came out, it was like, don't tip, so now I kind of got used to that.
Right, and that's what he says as well, because in the Uber app, tipping used to be impossible. Now they're shoving the, please tip thing after. Now, my dad, he said that, I'm a restaurant evangelist. I'm always encouraging to tip more. I'm a big proponent. You got to tip on the alcohol. There's no tipping on the alcohol.
Of course,
exception.
absolutely.
I think that's total bullshit. But he says he always tips the Uber 15%. We don't tip the Uber. So Anthony and I did some research. We went into Ridester.com, which is the #1 Google hit, veritable authority for all things Uber. And they have a variety of points for why you should tip the Uber. Number one, the main reason you should tip your Uber driver is because they're providing you a personal service that involves your safety and comfort, and they simply don't make that much doing it. Pretty good point, right? Like when I think about other personal services, massages.
Yeah. Where do you land on coffee? You go buy a cup of coffee. You tip in on the coffee?
I'll throw the barista $1, Why
Fair.
not?
I usually just do the change. Like say it's like $3.15 and I give $4, I'll just 85 cents.
I'll say this. When I give them $1, I feel really good about myself. It's not like tipping 20%, which I feel like is mandatory. I'm like, I just gave you $1 though.
That's one above and beyond.
I went above and beyond because I know that baristas make minimum wage.
Exactly.
Which I think that is my main kind of attack on this point is that the whole tipping servers 15, 20% thing comes from the fact that they're not paid like normal employees.
Right. They get paid below the minimum wage.
It's craziness. I mean, in Arizona, when I was a server for 2 months, thank you, I did my time.
You served your time.
I served my time. We're making $2 an hour when I was a server in Arizona. So it's like, it's vastly below. Do you know what is it in New York? How much are you actually paid?
New Yorkers servers get paid $10 an hour.
Oh.
And then if, say, for example, no one tipped us, like literally you worked the whole night and got 0 tips, the restaurant would bump you up to the 15 minimum wage. So like you're going to make 15. And I don't want people to stop tipping because they're like, hey, they're making 15 an hour. Everything's fine.
Right.
New York is very expensive.
Yeah. So I think point 1, pretty weak.
Yeah, that's
weak. Point number 2, traditionally, tipping has always been a part of car service business, whether it's taxis or limos. Americans have always tipped their drivers nicely.
But, sometimes it's not even enough. Like one time I went to Los Angeles and I got a car from the airport to the thing and it was like all taken care of. And I gave the guy $20 and he was not happy with that. He said it was not enough for the limo service.
So a limo for how long was the ride? Like an hour?
It was, like 45 minutes to an hour, yeah.
I mean, you figure how much could that possibly cost? $100? $200?
Yeah.
I guess it must be $200 because like $20 on 100.
And I didn't even partake in the water or anything. I was just playing on my phone. I didn't like make him talk to me.
Right.
Like there was no interaction. He was just driving, doing his thing.
And I think really my biggest point with this is I can drive a car.
Yeah.
I can't serve. So I find it a lot easier to tip a server because I'm like, you know what? I know how hard this job is. I know that I tried to do it and I couldn't do it. Now, I haven't actually tried being an Uber, but I feel like we all have kind of gone through the motions of being an Uber.
Whereas with a server, you have to be personable. You have to be very friendly. You have to know everything about a menu.
Yes.
You have to know about wine pairings, all that. Whereas an Uber is just like, at the bare minimum, it's just A to B.
Right. And I think you have to do a lot of resource management as a server. Like, I just think it's a much more difficult job and they're paid less. And I don't view it that way.
I don't think I'm going to change my tipping policy on Ubers.
Ridester recommends 20% for outstanding, 15% for pretty good, but 10% for average. So I guess he's saying slightly below what a server would and then nothing for below average, which is kind of interesting. We went into the New York Times to see what they had to say, also citing someone from Ridester.com, Mr. Heller, a former Uber driver and owner of the website. He says that passengers who tip leave an average of only 5.5%. So that means what? $10 Uber, if you leave $1, you're now almost double.
Above and beyond the average.
I feel good about that. I'm ready to do about a 10%, and that means that on average, I'm going to be beating people by double. This is a quote. With fares, tips, and bonuses factored in, I average around $20 an hour and give around 75 rides per week, said John Sycamore, a driver in Salt Lake. Yeah, and I think that supports what we're saying is that Uber drivers are making above minimum wage. I mean, in Salt Lake, that's well above the minimum wage. I feel like it's a minimum wage job.
It is. It's a minimum wage job, and minimum wage duties, ultimately, you're, driving A to B.
Right. I kind of feel like, look, the guy at Chipotle, if he deserves 15 in New York, then I kind of feel like that's what the Uber driver gets.
I agree with you.
I mean, they have overhead, so this is a whole complex equation. But at this point, after giving it a lot of thought, I'm ready to go 10% is generous. I say 5. If 5% is average, I say go 5% then. Be average.
So let me ask you this. What about, especially us as New Yorkers or anybody with public transit, do you think that Uber should just pay more? Like, we don't tip MTA bus drivers. The bus driver takes us from the Upper East to the Upper West or whatever, and no one tips the bus driver.
Very good point. You don't tip a pilot. There's all these other people you don't tip.
Exactly. So it's like maybe Uber and Lyft, they should just pay these people better.
That's a really strong point. I mean, now that I'm thinking about transportation, you're right. Like, why is an Uber driver this weird special case?
Right.
Seems like we should be tipping the subway driver.
Exactly. Where does it end?
Where does it end? The air train. Oh, the air train's a robot. Well, give the robot $1. He's hungry. He's got a family of robots. They live in Jamaica. Regarding Instacart, another thing my cousin complained about. Instacart, if you don't know, is like it delivers the groceries to your house. An Eater article from February 2019 says that Instacart shoppers will receive a minimum of $10 per order. So there was a controversy, and now they're guaranteeing that even no matter what you tip, you're getting $10 per order.
Yeah. So I think don't tip, make Instacart pay these people.
Absolutely. We've got a submission here. Title, Over Tipper. My wife and I planned a week's vacay in Mexico with her brother and his wife, the sister-in-law. The week was a timeshare that the sister-in-law's family owned. My wife and I had to pay for the cost of the week at the timeshare. The timeshare was a luxurious resort with multiple pools and restaurants to choose from during the week. The pools all had food and drink service, and I tipped the pool servers for better service, which the sister-in-law voiced concern about me over-tipping. For context, we had purchased the all-inclusive drink plan, So the poolside service was included. I tipped the servers $20 up front and then 10 to 15% at the end of the day. We sat by the pool every day, all day, and drank and ate. The last day of the vacation, we planned to have the dinner at the steakhouse, which was fairly pricey, but we agreed to split the check for the meal, and the sister-in-law wanted to leave the tip. After seeing she did not leave a 20% tip, I left additional tip in cash on the table, 20 buckos. When the sister-in-law saw me leave the additional tip, she got upset, and I told her to F off. Bear in mind, the sister-in-law had a well-paying job, yet showed no regard to the servers in Mexico and what an extra $20 tip might mean to them. Consequently, the sister-in-law has not spoken to me since that vacation over 3 years ago, even though I apologized several times for telling her to fuck off. Am I the asshole?
So I think leaving a bonus tip is kind of rude on his part.
She had left a tip, and then he looked at how much she tipped.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is a little rude.
It's a little rude.
Sneaky.
Yeah, because he was over tipping at the pool to get better service, better drinks. So he was over tipping earlier, and she got offended. So he probably assumed correctly, it sounds like, that she was going to leave a bad tip. So he snooped in her business and then left bonus money. And that's kind of insulting. I can see the anger from that.
There was contention earlier because he was tipping the servers at the pool, and she's like, why are you doing that? You're over tipping.
Yeah, but it's like, mind your business, lady. It's not your money. It's not your husband. What do you care?
Okay, so she wasn't minding her business, but then he wasn't minding his business because he was inspecting her tip at the steakhouse.
Exactly.
Very, very interesting. I feel that you are onto something. And we do note that this person says, I apologize several times for telling her to fuck off, but maybe that wasn't the real crime. The real crime was checking the tip.
I think the real crime was checking the tip because I was on a date once and had horrible service, and the girl left bonus money, and I felt like attacked.
Yes, because it is an attack.
It is.
Let's get down to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
When you check someone's tip, you're saying, I don't trust that you're a good tipper, which essentially means I don't trust that you're a fair person.
Right.
And then when you put out your own money, you say, not only do I think you're an unfair person, I'm actually going to reach into my own pocket to compensate them.
Exactly. He could have been like, why did you leave such a low tip? But instead he just put the 20 down, and that's a little sticky situation for sure. So what do you think? Do you think he's the asshole?
Everyone sucks here. Look, this guy committed a minor crime. I think he's a good guy. He's got his eyes on the server, but he did not play politics with his sister-in-law correctly.
Right.
He did not practice my favorite phrase, discretion is the better part of valor, and he didn't pull it off. He got caught checking the tip. He should have just left the 20.
Yeah.
That's what he should have done. He should have snuck the little 20 under a napkin or some shit.
Or gave him the cool uncle handshake where you have the 20 folded up in the hand, cool uncle handshake.
Right, right. He needs to apologize for checking the tip. It was none of his business, and he ruined the vibes. I think ending a relationship for over 3 years is ridiculous. I think that he reached out. I think he is clearly a good person, and I'm definitely willing to say he's the better person in this situation.
Absolutely.
However, he is not without sin.
I'm sticking with my original of not the asshole, though. But you make some excellent points, but I want to stick with not the asshole for me.
Listener submission, new work corner store. There's a corner store below my apartment. I spend about $20 a week there. Last night, I asked for 2 paper cups, and the girl working charged me for them. Dumb, but I get it. I went back this morning to buy a protein bar and a liter of OJ. When I grabbed the OJ, it slipped and splashed everywhere. So I grabbed another bottle, went to the checkout line to apologize, and hopefully get a response along the lines of, it's okay, accidents happen, then pay for my items and leave. But when I get to the counter, the worker told me it's my fault and that I have to pay for it. They were even going to check the security cameras like referees to see who touched the ball before it went out of bounds. So I told them I'm not buying anything, left my items on the counter, and walked out. Then one of the employees came out and yelled that I owe them money. I say, I don't owe you shit. He says, F you. I said, go F yourself. I'm thinking of going back to pay for it and tell them in the grand scheme, I'm living in the building for another year, it's not worth busting my balls over 2 paper cups at $6 orange juice when I'm a consistent customer. But am I the asshole?
The fact that he mentioned the paper cup incident from the night before, did he drop the OJ on purpose? Was he being a dick? Is it possible that he's being the asshole here?
Yeah, he didn't like being charged for the paper cups. I mean, I don't know how much they charged him, but that is a little bit chintzy, especially if you're a regular. But she didn't know you were a regular, so that's kind of
How regular are you?
How regular are you? You straight basic. Nonetheless, I think what you're offering is a conspiracy theory, and I reject it, Anthony. I think he innocently dropped the OJ as one is wont to do. And I don't think, and we looked this up, you break it, you buy it is not a law, folks.
Exactly. They could take you to small claims court if they want, but are they going to do that for a $5 OJ?
I would love it, actually. I would love to go to court over $5. And you know what? I would make a point of repeatedly showing that I have $5. I would drop $5 bills on the ground. I would roll up with a Frappuccino. My shirt would say, this costs $5 in giant letters. What they should have done, what the worker should have done is said, excuse me, sir, we're a small business. We would really appreciate it if you covered the cost of the goods that you damaged. But instead, what she said was obviously not that. I gotta say that I think this guy is not the asshole. I think this worker is new, or she's inexperienced, or she's just plain insecure. She doubled down. She had a freaking fit.
She had a little bit of power and she wanted to exploit it, I think.
Bingo.
Got a little power hungry. The one confusing thing is he says they were going to check the cameras. He admitted to the crime. Why are they checking the cameras?
Insane. That is my favorite line, listener. This is a great line. This, referees to see who touched the ball before it went out of bounds. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not the law, and they should have been polite to you if they were really going to be about $5. And
I say not the asshole as well. I agree.
Not the asshole. I say this worker is the asshole. Listener submission. I recently bought an Amazon Echo Dot for a 2-for-1 deal. I brought both of them home with me and set the first one up. Not really knowing what to do with the other one, I tossed it into my brother's room. When my dad realized I had two, he asked what I was planning on doing with the second one. I said that I didn't really know, but I might try to use it as a test bench for programming-related reasons. A couple of days passed, and I still hadn't done anything about it. It occurred to me that I was about to travel down to see a friend who recently got a new job and apartment, and so I thought it'd be a nice housewarming gift, along with some other gift. However, I realized that my brother had taken the second Amazon Echo and was using it in his dorm at college. I proceeded to raise my voice a little and asked why he would just take it without asking. He replied that it was in his room and I wasn't doing anything with it, so he decided to take it for himself. Am I the asshole for yelling at my brother?
Yes. Yes. Why would you put it in his room if you didn't want him to think it was his? That's so confusing.
I mean, mainly, I think if you had just communicated honestly and been like, I don't know what I was thinking, I threw it into your room, you do have plausible deniability, and you could say, hey, I need that Amazon Echo Dot back. Yeah, I think the fact that you would yell at him or act like he was wrong in any way, he didn't do anything wrong. Why does he have to do an investigation for something that he found in his room?
Exactly.
That's that. I think listener is a good person, though. I think an Amazon Echo is a mighty fine housewarming gift. You don't even need a second gift. Listener submission, a compliment for Danny. Can you believe this? I can't believe we got this. I don't know if my mom put this in or what. They just wrote as a title, I could listen to Danny all day. I mean, I won't. I have a life and things to do, and frankly, there just aren't enough episodes yet. But I could if you made me.
Ooh.
I say, not the asshole.
I say you're amazing. Thank you so much for leaving us a compliment. I was completely not in it, but thank you so much. Danny's amazing. I could listen to him all day.
Oh, what a kind people I've surrounded myself with. Well, thanks so much, submitter. Segment, Asshole Watch. Sarah Levine, my friend, who submitted to our last episode. She's ever looking for boyfriends. Come on, hit her up, gentlemen. She is great, not the asshole. Submitted this to me. She said she saw multiple people post thank goodness I saw Notre Dame a few years ago. Yeah, Becky, Notre Dame waited hundreds of years before burning down just so you can see it.
Yeah, dude, it's one of those typical social media things where it's such a weird flex, people posting selfies of themselves in front of the Notre Dame thing, and it's come on.
This is a little segment we call Am I the Hero? Anthony on the hypotheticals. These are just hypothetical situations.
Out with friends at a bar. A friend is super buff, muscular, kind of like a gym rat kind of friend. Someone starts making fun of me, roasting me, and I roast this guy back. And then the guy says to me, don't get beat up. To which my friend Caesar, who's muscular buff dude, stands up super aggro and says, no one's getting beat up today.
I'm a little confused. So the first guy was making fun of you.
Yes.
And you bit back. And do you remember the sort of what went down?
He was wearing I forget the brand name, but it's it was popular in the early 2000s, an urban streetwear. It's very in your face kind of outfit.
Okay.
So he starts making fun of me, saying are you old enough to be at this bar? Are you old enough to drink, etc.
Right.
And I said, sir, if I was wearing that ridiculous outfit, I wouldn't make fun of anyone.
Oh, I love that, dude. I love that.
And he goes, oh, I remember the brand because I remembered what he said. He goes, this is Mark Echo. This is sweet. It was not
so
sweet.
Funny.
It was not sweet at all. So then he says, don't get beat up.
Yeah.
To which my buddy Caesar, who's jacked, gets up and is like, no one's getting beat up today. It was awesome. He was my hero.
I say hero.
Okay, so another time I had the lead guitarist of Kiss, but my coworker was obsessed. He's like a Kiss super fan, and he's like freaking out. And I'm like, dude, leave him alone. I didn't make a big deal of it. And so people were asking if they could take photos with him, and I was like kind of defending him. I was like, no, don't worry about it. Like, just, he's trying to eat. He's trying to exist.
Right.
Am I the hero for trying to make my people play it cool? Or is that just common courtesy?
He was sitting and eating.
Yeah.
And you said, get out of his face.
Yeah, because my coworker wanted to get a pic with him, and I was like, nah, dude, don't go.
I say hero. I say he's a freaking frontman at Kiss. He's taking his share of photos. It's not novel to him. It's not fun. He'll do it begrudgingly. We've talked about this before, but I don't think he wanted it to happen. He doesn't need it. You know, it has no social status for him. He's a freaking frontman at Kiss. He's basically a god.
He is, yeah.
I say hero, bro.
A lady was struggling to carry a stroller up the subway stairs. I said, miss, would you like some help? And she said, thank you so much. And then I did it.
No, not a hero.
That's just normal.
No, in New York, that is the rule. I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Am I the hero? I'm in a massive rush. And this girl is going up so slowly. She's dragging a heavy suitcase. I could tell she was from out of town, too. She wasn't coming home.
This tourist bozo.
And she's blocking the whole stairwell. And I squeeze by her and kind of push her. And she's like, oh. Like, she had no idea what she was doing. And she was literally up the biggest staircase I've ever seen. It was at least 1,000 stairs. Like, it was crazy. Crazy. And I felt so bad after doing that to her that I was like, let me help you with that. I grabbed her suitcase, which was surprisingly light. I was like, you weak ass lady.
Hit the gym. Coward.
Hit the gym. And then I ran up the staircase with her suitcase.
And you stole her
dropped
suitcase.
it off at the top. I checked it. There was nothing good I wanted. And I left. No. And I left it and I started, you got it? And I ran because I was in a hurry. Am I the hero?
Definitely.
And one final segment today, it's I'm the asshole, where we just straight up say we're the asshole. Because we try to give advice and understand these situations, but we're still making huge mistakes all the time.
Right.
Well, basically what happened is my friend came over and I asked him to take off his jacket. I don't like when people have their jackets on the back of chairs. Put it on the rack. His jacket smelled like a homeless person. And I said it once. And then I didn't drop it. I kept saying it. I kept roasting him because it really did make me upset. And I had to light a candle. I often have to light a candle when he comes over. And he goes, that's a text. And I was like, you know what? You're right. You got me. I'm an asshole. Didn't need to out him. If everyone else could smell it, they could smell it. And if they couldn't, he would have gotten away with it.
That's tough for me because, like, first I'm like, Danny's the asshole for that because it could have been a text. But at the same token, it's like, come on, man.
Right.
I have a dirty one as well.
Here we go.
So I went to a friend's house and their apartment was very dirty. And she said that she's like, my apartment's a mess. I'm sorry. And I was like, yeah, it is messy. And she got so violently offended. She was so hurt.
God.
And she's like, how dare you say my apartment's messy? I was like, whoa. I was yes-anding. You're like, you brought it up. Like, do you want me to lie to you and say, no, it's immaculate. It's pristine in here.
Yeah.
It was messy. There was like, takeout bags around. There was like cups. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was messy.
What the move is, it's sort of an acknowledgement that it should have been better. It's not an opening for you to agree or confirm the inadequacy.
I just thought I remembered a worse one where I agreed with a girl. A girl once said that she had fucked up teeth. And I was like, yeah, you did.
Oh, Anthony, no, fucked up teeth.
And it was so funny because she was so hurt, and that makes sense now. But in the moment, I was so confused. I was like, you said it. Like for example, me. If I say like I look young or I'm chubby, whatever, it's like I'm stating a fact. And it's like if someone were to be like, yes, that's true, then I'm like, okay, that's fine. But it's different than if someone just says to me, Anthony, you're chubby. Anthony, you look young. I feel like I'm attacked. My more extreme example is I was friends with an influencer, and he and I were hanging out. We were drinking, and he asked me, he's like, Anthony, have you ever considered doing like a deep voice, like making your voice deeper? And I was like, no. I blew it off. And I wasn't really hurt. I was like annoyed. Then he made fun of me again. And then he did it a third time. And I was like, you know what? Third time is the strikes out, whatever. Third
again on the voice, making another voice joke.
Exactly. So I said, look, dude, I can't help my voice, but you should really work on the fact that you only care about yourself. You don't care about your wife. You don't care about your friends. You only care about yourself. And it looked like I literally shot him in the chest. He was so hurt. Like, it actually ruined our friendship. But his face was like shocked. He was blown away. And everyone is on his side. Everyone's like, Anthony, you went too far. You went in like a core value. But it's like, he hurt one of my core things. So, I thought it was fair game.
Okay, I have two things to say about that. The first thing is, that's a nuclear bomb. You literally dropped a nuclear bomb, right? Like he sprayed you with a water gun and
that's
you
subjective.
dropped an actual bomb. Well, but here's the second thing. It wouldn't hurt unless it was true.
Yeah, and the thing is his face looks so shocked that I'm like, his wife probably told him that.
Yep.
Someone that he truly loves and truly cares about has told him that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so devastating. Things hurt your feelings when they are real. Because like if you told me like, Danny, you're such an asshole, you don't care about me at all, I'd be like, what? Like I gave you a LaCroix. Give me my LaCroix back, fucker. Like I would know it was not true instantly.
Absolutely.
So, wow, damn, dude. You just went full Hiroshima on that guy. Holy shit.
Yeah, man. And I don't regret it.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. I truly love it. And please give us your feedback. I literally want to hear from you. Message me personally on Instagram if you have to. Message Danny if you have to.
Absolutely.
We want to hear from you.
We're obsessed with you guys. Thank you so much for listening.